She once captivated the entire United States, starting the day for millions of viewers with laughter and ending it with a meaningful message. 19 seasons, 3,294 episodes, 64 Emmy Awards, and an empire worth over $500 million. Even if you have never watched an episode, clips from her show are everywhere, from YouTube to social media, making it impossible not to know her. But then, stories began to leak, not from the press but from those who had once worked under Ellen. They spoke of yelling, intimidation, racial discrimination, and even harassment behind the scenes, places the cameras never reached. And this is Ellen DeGeneres, the angel Hollywood created, but also the image they ultimately dismantled. Before becoming the Ellen the world knows today, she was just an unknown name in New Orleans. She lived with her mother in a cramped apartment. After her parents' divorce, her mother remarried, and Ellen endured a difficult childhood with her stepfather. She worked as a waitress, paint sales clerk, and typist, doing whatever job she could to survive. But in the evenings, she would perform stand-up comedy at bars, pursuing it as an unshakable passion. Her audience often consisted of just 7 people and a cat.
You ever do that? You ever try to judge a situation? You're totally wrong, you find out later? For instance,
In 1989, Ellen caught the attention of Fox and was invited to star in a new sitcom called Open House. However, the series was unsuccessful, and 3 years later, ABC gave her a second chance with the sitcom Laurel Hill, where Ellen played an eccentric nurse. The show was cancelled after just 4 episodes. Nevertheless, ABC executives recognized her comedic charm and decided to develop an entirely new series based on Ellen's own personality. Several subsequent shows were tested but failed to make an impact. In 1997, a groundbreaking moment hit television screens. Ellen became the first main character in U.S. TV history to openly come out as gay on national television.
Susan, I'm gay.
Just a week later, she appeared on the cover of Time magazine with the bold headline, "Yep, I'm gay." She also appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show with her then-girlfriend, actress and Hetchy, saying, "I would like to be able to control it, but you can never control the press."
Do it differently?
I would like to be able to control it, but you can never control the press. I would love to have just done the 3 things that I chose to do, and for me to speak and be able to answer the questions and say what I feel.
That brave decision cost her the show, advertising deals, and led to boycotts by major corporations. But it also made her a symbol of courage, a trailblazer for the LGBT community in popular culture. Afterward, ABC still aired the 5th season of Ellen's show. Now, audiences witnessed a more confident Ellen, dating, finding a serious partner, and living true to herself. However, ABC began adding content warning labels before each episode, even though the show remained lighthearted comedy. Worse still, the show was criticized for being too gay, even by some within the LGBT community. Religious groups opposed it, critics attacked it, and, at its worst, the show even received bomb threats. The viewership ratings plummeted dramatically. From being a trailblazer in television history, Ellen now faced Hollywood turning its back on her for the first time. Even her relationship with Hetchy, once regarded as one of the first high-profile openly gay couples, began to crack under public pressure. After 3.5 years together, the two parted ways in 2000. Just when everything seemed over, an unexpected opportunity arose. Does this voice sound familiar to you?
Yes! Great idea! You take me to find him! Why didn't I think of that? Come on!
In 2003, Pixar invited Ellen to voice Dory, the forgetful blue fish with short-term memory, in the movie Finding Nemo. The role perfectly matched her witty humor and quirky style of expression. And we all know how tremendously successful that film was.
And the Oscar goes to Finding Nemo,
The film became a global phenomenon, grossing over $870 million, and from that point on, Ellen officially returned to the spotlight, forgiven and embraced by the public. That same year, she launched her own talk show called The Ellen DeGeneres Show. The show's format was simple yet effective. While other talk shows chased drama and scandals, Ellen brought pure joy. She danced with the audience, played games with celebrities, shared inspiring stories, and especially gave surprise gifts. The show was a resounding success, with Ellen finding the perfect formula between interviewing celebrities and honoring touching real-life stories. When even the president appeared on her show, Ellen's credibility reached its peak, and that happened more than once. It can be said that her image had reached the pinnacle of optimism and positive energy at this point. She even received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama, and even he admitted. In her 3-decade-long career, Ellen DeGeneres, through her iconic show, The Ellen Show, has contributed to enriching the spiritual life of Americans and bringing joy to our lives. In whatever role she played, she always reminded us to be kind to one another. She was known as a genuinely kind person, and celebrities always felt at ease on her show. They knew Ellen would never ask uncomfortable questions. She gave cars to struggling families, awarded college scholarships to hardworking students, and built homes for firefighters. Ellen was dubbed the most generous talk show host in American television. The motto, "Be kind to one another," seemed not just words, but the very essence of who she was. Ellen didn't just host a talk show, she was also a familiar face at major award ceremonies, including twice hosting the Oscars. In 2014, Ellen broke the internet with a legendary selfie featuring Hollywood's biggest stars at the Oscars. The photo instantly became the most shared picture on Twitter at the time. Although her outward image was kind and humorous, over time, cracks in Ellen's facade began to show. This was most evident in how she treated guests on her show.
Let's talk about your time in prison.
I didn't go to prison.
In 2008, rumors spread that Mariah Carey was pregnant. When Mariah appeared on Ellen's show, instead of being sensitive, Ellen turned the interview into a trap. Ellen offered her a glass of champagne, pressuring Mariah to drink. If she drank, it meant she wasn't pregnant. If she refused, it almost confirmed the rumor. Mariah awkwardly tried to avoid the situation, but Ellen wouldn't let it go. Later, Mariah admitted that the interview made her extremely uncomfortable and hurt. In fact, she was pregnant but hadn't announced it because she had previously suffered a miscarriage. A few weeks after appearing on Ellen's show, Mariah miscarried again. Then came country music princess Taylor Swift, and Ellen once again struck a nerve by prying into Taylor's love life. Taylor came to promote her new album, but Ellen focused solely on her ex-boyfriends.
I'm so happy to see you. Every time you're here, you make me very happy. You were here with your boyfriend, Zac Efron, last time. How's he doing?
We actually never dated.
Yes, you did. So,
When Taylor tried to deny it, Ellen persisted, even forcing her to ring a bell if she had dated the men shown on the screen. Taylor said, "I don't want to click on anyone because then I'll get tons of hate emails." Ellen replied, "Just do it, the audience loves it." The audience laughed, Ellen laughed, but Taylor sat silently on the chair, looking visibly uncomfortable. This was no longer harmless fun. Ellen had forced Taylor to expose her private life on national television, despite Taylor's repeated refusals. If these two stories aren't enough to illustrate Ellen's insensitivity and lack of empathy, let me tell you more.
Look at him. He is beautiful, but look at his hair. When are you going to cut that hair?
Never have I ever had sex with two different people, with more than two different people in one day.
It seemed no celebrity dared to speak up against America's beloved TV host, until Dakota Johnson came along.
I did.
And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited. Last time I was on the show, last year, you gave me a bunch of about not inviting you, but I didn't even know you wanted to be invited.
Well, who doesn't want to be invited to a party?
Well, I didn't even know you liked me.
Of course I like you. You knew I liked you. You've been on the show many times, and don't I show like?
Yeah. But I did invite you and you didn't come.
This time, Ellen teased Dakota for not inviting her to her 30th birthday party. Dakota immediately shot back. Ellen tried to recover, saying, "Really? Who said I was invited?" Dakota calmly replied, "Ask Jonathan, your producer." The entire audience went silent. Ellen was speechless and even turned to ask herself, "Oh, why didn't I go?" leaving everyone unsure if she was joking or not. That moment quickly went viral across social media, like a slap in the face to her once wholesome image. Indeed, Ellen's bad year seemed to arrive early. In 2020, as the COVID-19 pandemic hit, The Ellen Show had to be filmed from her home, and everything started spiraling downward. In one monologue, Ellen compared quarantining in her $27 million mansion to being in prison. She said, "Quarantine in this house feels like being in jail. Every day, I wear the same clothes, and everyone here is gay." Then, Ellen's Mercury retrograde moment hit when comedian Kevin T. Porter took to Twitter, asking people to share negative experiences about Ellen, promising to donate to charity for each story. The result? Over 2,600 comments flooded in within a short time. It seemed like almost everyone who had met Ellen in Hollywood had a horror story to tell. The sheer volume of stories made it hard to believe they were all fabricated. Several recurring themes stood out. Countless accounts claimed Ellen instructed staff not to look at or talk to her. She never said thank you, and would even ignore those who brought her coffee or served her. With the audience, she would act distant if interaction wasn't necessary. It didn't stop there. In July 2020, BuzzFeed published a shocking report. 11 former employees accused The Ellen Show of being a toxic workplace, filled with intimidation, discrimination, and a management style where disagreeing means you're out. One employee was fired simply for asking to attend a family member's funeral, another dismissed right after being hospitalized from an accident. Black employees said they were repeatedly called by the wrong name for months, and even had to endure jokes like, "Who can tell two black people apart?" Worse still, 3 key producers, Ed Glavin, Kevin Lehman, and Jonathan Norman, were accused of serious misconduct. Glavin was accused of slamming tables, yelling, and inappropriate conduct toward women. Lehman was accused of asking lewd sexual questions and groping male staff. Norman faced allegations of grooming subordinates. One former employee bitterly stated, "I used to believe her motto. Now I just see it printed on mugs and t-shirts like a cruel joke. She's only kind when the cameras are rolling." A former DJ on the show also shared, "You can feel the suffocating and fake atmosphere backstage." Former producer Hernan Muscat bluntly remarked, "She's a hypocrite, all about appearances. She's great as a host, but terrible as a boss." Muscat said that from his very first day, he was told, "Don't talk to Ellen, don't step into her office." Everyone was forced to walk on eggshells under extreme tension. Ellen off camera was a completely different person. She wouldn't chat with the audience, just sat alone, and sometimes left the set without even saying goodbye. With the crew, Ellen only did her on-camera part, leaving the rest to the producers. Among them, Ed Glavin, one of the main producers, was said to frequently act on Ellen's behalf, doing the dirty work with staff. Ellen responded, "I didn't know these things were happening." But the public's reaction was one question: how could you not know what's happening on a show that bears your name? The scandal exploded like a bomb. Ellen DeGeneres chose a familiar celebrity defense strategy, distancing herself and blaming ignorance. In an internal email to staff, she wrote, "Every day I walk into the show thinking I'm creating a place of joy and positivity. Clearly, that didn't happen, and for that, I'm sorry." On television, she admitted she was just a person with all kinds of emotions, happy, sad, angry, and had personal issues to work on. She said, "If you watch my show because you love it, thank you. If not, you're still welcome." Her words sounded humble, but the public quickly saw that she wasn't taking direct responsibility. The phrase, "clearly, that didn't happen," was vague, evasive language, unacceptable in any organization. Especially for a show that bore her name, not knowing wasn't an acceptable excuse. With hundreds of staff, millions in budget each season, and nearly 2 decades of production, Ellen's claim of not knowing only angered the public more. Either she knew and ignored it, or she truly didn't know. And that was even worse. From a show that once reached 4 million viewers a day, the number plunged to 2.2 million, the lowest in its broadcast history. Not long after, Ellen announced that the show would end with its 19th season. She insisted this decision had nothing to do with the scandal, but rather because she no longer felt challenged. But to the public, the truth was all too clear. She stepped back not because her mission was complete, but because her brand image was beyond repair. 2 years after the show ended, in September 2024, Ellen returned with a stand-up special on Netflix titled Ellen DeGeneres, For Your Approval. For many of her former supporters, this was seen as a chance to confront her past, show remorse, or at least share her personal perspective on her career downfall. But instead of being honest, she chose mockery.
Oh yeah, I got kicked out of show business.
The joke still made people laugh, but the roaring applause was gone. Most of the audience felt betrayed once again. Ellen not only showed no remorse but even used other people's pain as material for her comeback jokes. The public, of course, cannot forgive someone who refuses to take responsibility. For someone once considered a cultural icon of the 21st century, this was not just a failed comeback. It proved that Ellen learned nothing from her own downfall. And in the eyes of today's audience, that is even worse than the original scandal.